Welcome back to Inside Scoop with Chelsea Kisner and Torin Dewdney. We have our new guest, which is Heidi Pries, and she is the Director of New Student Programs and something else, but we'll ask her in just a minute. Anyways, thanks for being with us. What actually is your title?
My title is Director of New Student Programs and Student Involvement.
That's a very long title.
It is a long title.
So on your business card, does it?
It says that whole title on my business card.
All right. Well, we were going to ask you what the View Crew is. Amy actually said a little bit about it earlier, but did you have a little bit more to add to it, or?
Not a lot. The View Crew basically is, they were formerly the student ambassadors, and they're just here to help with the transition of the first-year students into college. And so they actually help with the transition of not only freshmen, but also transfer students, making that transition into Grandview. So they're here to just help retain our students, I guess.
Do you really enjoy helping the freshmen out and working with all the students?
Absolutely. I really enjoy working in higher education, and previous to my position here I worked in admissions, so I kind of saw the process as far as getting the student to college, and now I am fortunate enough to be able to work in a position where I get to keep the student at the college. So I enjoy the whole retention process that higher education can bring, and the View Crew obviously is an important part in the retention of keeping our new students at Grandview. So.
And why did you change the name from Student Ambassadors to View Crew?
I changed the name for a couple of reasons. At Grandview we have student ambassadors, and then we had admissions ambassadors. And last spring when we were going through the interview process, we would be sitting down with Grandview students, interviewing them, and sometimes they were confused as to what they were even applying for. They didn't know if they were applying for an admissions ambassador or a student ambassador. And I just felt like there needed to be a huge difference in the name, so there was less confusion. And last year we actually went from having a new theme each year for orientation to just developing a new theme called Do the View, and that's more of a branding theme, so we're not going to change the theme each year. And so I thought it would be nice to have something that went along with that brand, and we named it the View Crew.
Awesome. All right.
Have you developed any long-lasting relationships with the kids you've worked with?
I would say so. This is only my second full year of being at Grandview, but the student ambassadors that or members of the View Crew that we are going to be hiring, from last year to this year, it looks like we will have about over half of them reapplying. So I'm really excited to see some returning students being part of the View Crew, and then getting some new students involved in it as well. But I think it's nice to have some veterans part of that group.
What about the students that have been in it and have graduated already? Do you keep in touch with them a lot, or?
A few. I came in actually in the summer, so the first group that I came in with I didn't actually hire, and they had worked probably a month and a half without having an advisor, so that was kind of difficult. I always compared it to kind of being like a head coach and coming into a team that you didn't recruit. So that was kind of a difficult year and a transition year, but I'm still in touch with some of those students that were student ambassadors that first year. And then obviously this past year were the students that I hired. Amy was in that group, and even after their primary duties were over, a lot of them will come into my office and just sit down and chat with me and find out what's going on, and I love hearing about what's going on in their lives as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What activities do you guys usually cover over the summertime?
All the student ambassadors or View Crew members, once they get hired, we always go to NOTA, which is a regional conference that they all attend, and it's part of their training. And last year it was up in Waterloo. This year it's in Chicago, which will be a lot more fun. And so we will all go to Chicago the second weekend in April, and that's kind of the kickoff of our training. And then when we come back, our registration days actually got moved up this year with some admissions numbers. We made some transitions. So our first registration day, rather than being in May like it was previous years, it is in April this year. So we have a very short amount of time to get ready for that first registration day. And they will work all 4 freshman registration days, and then we have 2 transfer orientation days that they'll work. And then they work an athlete orientation, which is athlete move-in day for the fall athletes, and that's in August. And then they also do new student days, which is in August.
Awesome. How do you think that the VIEW crew impacts the Grandview College community?
I really think it sets the tone for the year for the new students. If the VIEW crew members are excited and showing that they're having fun and showing that they enjoy their experience that they've had at Grandview, and that the experience that these new students can have can be a positive experience, then I think it sets kind of the tone for the whole year as far as getting the students out at the activities, getting them involved, showing them that, you know, it's fun to be involved outside the classroom and coming to the SAC events and the RHA events and things like that. So I think the VIEW crew, it's very, you know, they have an important role as far as just kind of setting a positive tone for the year and getting the excitement up for a new school year.
That's awesome.
Do you have any plans for future projects and future years?
As far as something that was changed last year with the VIEW crew, Amy mentioned it, each VIEW crew member is assigned about 5 or 6 students for each registration day that they're in touch with, and they stayed in touch with those students throughout the first 6 weeks of class, and I'm planning on making sure that they do more as far as staying in touch with them that first 6 weeks, just to develop that relationship a little bit more.
Great. Did you know, I asked Amy this earlier, I was wondering if she knew of anything that you guys are doing for the new student days. Last year you guys did Sleepy Hollow, you had a bunch of game shows. Didn't know if you had anything new planned or if you were still kind of getting that going.
We're still kind of getting that going. When I hire the new VIEW crew members, we'll sit down and kind of talk about what we thought worked last year and what we, if we have some new students that went through it last year, we'll ask them from a student's perspective and a participant's experience what they felt was a positive sort of event and what wasn't, and then we can go from there and make some changes. 2 years ago we did a iCubs game, and that was a fun night out at the iCubs. So we'll kind of see what's going on in Des Moines that weekend and see if we can plan an event, but we try to do something off campus just so we can showcase Des Moines a little bit more too.
Great. What exactly, in short, would be the way to apply for it? What's the process for being a student leader?
If you are interested in being in any leadership position, each winter or early spring, I guess, the application process gets started in the Student Life office, and you can apply for a number of leadership positions. We're actually, all the leadership advisors are meeting tomorrow to go through the applications that we've received. And if you haven't filled out an application and are still interested, you can still get that in before tomorrow. And we'll sit down and then we'll start the interview process with our students. And probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll announce the new student leaders from the interview process.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This has been the Inside Scoop with Chelsea Kisner and me, Torin Dewdney. Goodbye, everyone.